Any other? Okay, Commissioner Helms?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian, just some comments, no real questions for you. I appreciate the information that you shared.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think this is where we are. And I think that this issue that we're experiencing between our board, Board of Education, UCPS, there's probably one word that defines a lot of it. And I would say that word is misleading. And I think that there's been numerous problems that have brought us to where we are currently. The first problem, I think, is the omission of key facts. I mean, we've discussed this before, that there were obviously emails sent to teachers from some UCPS staff, and those emails were misleading. Those emails misrepresented this board's support of our public school system, and it told teachers half-truths. The message that was heard was that our board didn't fund a $2,000 supplement increase, but it failed to mention our support of at least a $1,000 supplement increase that we did fund from the taxpayers of Union County. Problem number two, and this is a big issue for me, and that is who is set to receive the supplement increase. So the funds have been released. So we adopted our budget, second June meeting. The funds have been turned over to UCPS at this point. And we saw tonight that we have, at least we think, about 2,458, 59, 2,500 teachers.
Approximately, yes.
Approximately, in the school district. And I think that the problem was that our board, and I'm not speaking for our board, but it's my understanding that our board was under the impression from UCPS that the goal was to pay classroom teachers. Now, this was discussed in our June meeting, June 2nd, when we conducted the public hearing. Reverend Benson was here, Shauna was here, and so our interpretation was that these funds were going to classroom teachers who are in the classroom working with the kids, doing grades, report cards, you know, the whole 9 yards. And, you know, just doing some simple math, my kids would probably say the math ain't mathin', because, I mean, we look at this and we say, okay, well, if we're going to offer a $1,000 supplement increase and we have roughly, you know, 2,500 teachers, and that's $2.5 million. Again, simple math. And under simple math, again, if you offer a $2,000 supplement increase, then, well, you double that. So you're looking at just south of $5 million. And, you know, so the county, we were afforded the opportunity to provide an additional $8.8 million over last year's operating budget. And my question is, well, maybe I do have a question. I would question this, that, you know, the 14.6 that was asked, I realize that there's probably some state things and there's some requirements.
Sure.
But I look at this and I think, okay, well, you know, if truly, you know, paying those teachers is our goal here, then we've afforded that opportunity. Maybe I'm looking at it too simply. But then I watched the October Finance Committee meeting, and it was discussed in there that, of course, these funds are not going to just classroom teachers, that it's going to be awarded to, and you showed this slide up there earlier, but classroom teachers, master teachers, school nurses, school counselors, media coordinators, psychologists, social workers, curriculum facilitators, EC specialized services. And listen, I understand that we've got important folks that work for UCPS, but again, the goal as presented to our board was classroom teachers. And I share Commissioner Balcom's concern about the TAs, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, I thought maybe we discussed it, but I don't see pen to paper here. And the TAs are the backbone of our elementary schools, and they're among the lowest paid. So I think that, you know, we have to take a hard look at that. But problem number three, and this is something that has bugged me since this whole discussion began, and that is, who promised UCPS staff $2,000 supplement increase. That's what I want to know. I want to know who made the promise, because I think the interpretation from our staff and our teachers is that this promise was made, or it was even a state mandate, which is not true. This is something that our boards had discussed, for a local supplement increase. It's something that we were trying to get to. It's something that we were trying to, do for our teachers, because we realize that they're important. And, again, this is just me. I've always believed that your word is your bond. If you make the promise, you write the check. And so, yeah, who made the promise? So, again, we, as boards, we engage in multiple conversations during budget discussions. We had our joint meeting April 2nd. We were very transparent in the fact that we have $8.8 million to provide.
Above.
Or correct, above last year's operating budget.
Yeah.
This year was no different. There's always heavy communications. And throughout the process, I feel like our board was very forthcoming, about the funds that we have. And again, this is not a state mandate. This is local funding worked into our budget, because we are hearing from our Board of Education. We are hearing that, hey, you know what? We need more for teacher retention. That's a problem, okay? Teacher retention. And listen, we went through something kind of similar with our county staff not too long ago with comp studies. So I've been scratching my head, because I wanted to know, well, who made this promise? And, I thought that this was kind of telling. Is I saw this post dated May 13th from Dr. Houlihan, where he posted on X or Twitter, where he shared a WSOC article, but he captioned it with the following, and it says, Union County School Board approves, keywords approve, $141 million budget with boost for teachers. I think that this statement is misleading. And I think it's misleading to the general public, because as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, the Board of Education adopts their budget, and they obviously have a request for local dollars.
Sure.
And we coordinate and we collaborate with the Board of Education as partners, but that is a part of the budget that this board adopts.
Yes, sir. So every year, the school boards are required across the state to submit their budgets to the county for funding. So the school board, obviously, they don't generate their own revenue. They get it from other sources. So in order for them to adopt an official budget, they have to know what their revenue sources are going to be. And they don't know that until you adopt your budget or approve your budget. That gives them their funding that's local sources. Now, they get state sources, federal sources, and those have their own, timing issues. But you're absolutely right. The decision for what's funded comes from another entity.
And I only bring this up because I think that there's a general misunderstanding, amongst the public.
Sure.
That, they adopted this, they approved it, so it must be true, but there's more to it than that.
Right. There's another entity that has to be involved in that.
Correct. And to be fair, they vote on their budget. That's a recommended or requested budget, and so, again, it takes more collaboration than just one board working in singularity.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that you brought up the sources. So problem number 4, I look at this and I say, I think that another issue is funding. So, UCPS, they have a budget that's accumulated from 3 sources, and we talked a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, state dollars, they get a little bit of federal dollars, and then they get local dollars from Union County. And we saw, the budget numbers. So UCPS has a total budget. If you look at FY25, I think it was 628 or 29, and they're looking at 611, I think, this year.
That's
and
correct.
this is just estimation to the best of our knowledge. Correct?
This is what was the information we had available from Union County Public Schools. So if you see
Okay.
611, and that's capital. Understand that has capital in it as
sure.
well.
Total budget, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're counting in capital and operating. But in contrast, I think that it's important for everyone to understand that the county has, we build our budget from really a singular source, even though it's 3 buckets. So we have utilities, and we have sales tax, and we have property tax. And that is the lion's share of what constitutes a county budget.
Yes.
But ultimately, that comes back to the resident. It goes back to, you know, the regular old taxpayer or the guy that's on water and sewer.
Sure.
So, I think a key point that was brought up tonight is that, you know, that pie chart there that shows that, you know, where you've got 57%, you know, instruction and then 43% for support staff. I mean, that's getting close to a 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, we're starting to get into that middle ground. And I want to be clear, you know, this year especially, this county has faced a lot of challenges. We've faced challenges with the reassessment process that was required by state law, by the way.
State mandate.
Yeah, and you know, the home values were determined by state formulas and things like that. But the point of it is that process was largely out of this board's control.
Yes.
What was within our control was tax rates.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the middle of all that, we've got, you know, a school bond that this board pushed through, that we approved to put on the ballot, okay? So we put that out there. We took a vote to put that out on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that school bond would essentially finish up the Forest Hills cluster, and it would also allot money for design work at Parkwood. And to be clear, the voters approved that bond.
Mm-hmm.
So it went out for vote, and the will of the people is that they give us a thumbs up.
And if we had not supported that, it would not have gone on the ballot. So this board supported that when the schools asked for it, and we allowed it to be put on the ballot.
Yes.
But what folks might not remember in all of that was that the initial projections of the cost. And now granted, there were a couple of bonds, okay? This is not just UCPS, but
Sure.
SBCC was on there too. But the initial projections for that was 5.15 cents over revenue neutral tax rate.
Yes, sir.
So that was our best estimation at that point in time. And I would credit, you know, you and your staff, because staff here at the county worked diligently to reduce that bond's impact on the tax rate to 1.82
1.82.
cents over revenue neutral. So we went from 5.15 to 1.82, and you showed the value of a penny up there earlier. So the value of a penny is just north of $6 million.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So you can do the math, and, you know, judging by just simple math here, what we did is we cut essentially 18 to 20 million, somewhere in that range. Now, I know that, you know, the value of penny changed,
the value changed,
but
obviously.
the point of it is that we made as much difference in that tax rate as what we possibly could.
Yes, sir.
And at this point, any, and I stress this, any additional operating funding, any funding like that, is going to increase the tax burden on the county taxpayers even further. And if we were to fund another $6 million, then that's one penny.
Mm-hmm.
That's another penny that everybody that pays taxes in this county is going to have to pay. So at some point, it becomes counterproductive to tax the residents. And when I say the residents, it also includes the teachers, all right, that live in this county,
Sure.
more than what the supplement increase is going to provide. And again, I understand that that's going to be different for everybody because it depends on your home value. But the difference of $1,000 or $2,000, in my opinion, is within the control of UCPS, because going back to my statement earlier, who writes the checks? UCPS writes the checks. The difference that we're talking about tonight represents 0.5%. Not even a full percent. 1/2 approximately. And that's compared to their total operating budget. And I think this whole thing kind of begs the question is, do your priorities line up with your budget? And what I mean by that is if we are currently number 6 in overall funding, operational and capital, and I think we've got, what, 115 school districts?
Yes.
So
I believe that's
115
correct.
school districts in the state, but we're 37th in teacher pay. And if teacher pay is our top priority, which is what we heard, we have heard this time and time again.
And we agree.
And we also agree to that, correct. So we are in the same boat here, okay? But if teacher pay is our top priority, and the county can trim what we trimmed out of our budget, I think the UCPS is incumbent upon them to find $2.5 to $3 million, all right, especially when their budget is roughly the same size as ours. So we're already meeting them halfway. And, you know, I went back to Dr. Houlihan's Twitter and X account, and I found this on October 11th. And listen, I want to be clear, I couldn't agree more with Dr. Houlihan, our superintendent, when he said on October 11th, he said, "In life and leadership, I have learned a lot. One key lesson, if it's important, you'll find a way to make it happen. No excuses." Again, I agree completely. The truth of the whole thing, though, is that UCPS receives funds from local government, but that's the taxpayer. That's you, the taxpayer. And they receive funds in a big bucket of money. And in my opinion, the 8.8 that we provided, you know, is at their discretion to provide a $1,000 or a $2,000 increase for the 2,458 teachers that we have. UCPS is in control of that. Again, they write the check. The pie is only so big, okay? The pie that we have to work with is only so large. And there's only a couple of ways to make that pie bigger.
Yes, sir.
So we either increase the taxes or we cut the budget. My challenge to UCPS is, have you cut the budget? Have we cut? Have you looked for those opportunities? All right, 1 penny on the tax rate. That's on top of municipal taxes that you might pay. That depends on your assessed value of your home, and that is for every taxpayer in the county. I'm not going to vote to support additional tax increases at this point in time. I think we've been through enough already, and we have to live within our means. All right? UCPS has to live within their means too. The county has to live within ours. The schools have to live within theirs. Thank you.